Big Mike here with Hayes Entertainment, Coke Daddy, and Trevor. Here we go. Today's episode, we got NFL superstar Lorenzo Alexander of the Buffalo Bills. Let's do this.
Bills Mafia, if you like what we're doing, hit the subscribe button. If you're looking for a mug, perhaps a hoodie, head on over to IOnlyTouchGreatness.com.
I'm Lorenzo Alexander of the Buffalo Bills, and I'm coming up on I Only Touch Greatness podcast.
We stay hot to death, we the best, always down the rack. This is Hayes Entertainment, what you know about that? We the best, just like Callie says, we the best. We stay hot to death, we the best, always down the rack. This is Hayes Entertainment, what you know about that?
Can't beat us, we MCs. I make cats run like DMC. My boy gets tased, it's the ENT. On the track, I blow like TNT. Hot boys like CMB. Girls spend the night like a B&B. I say what I want what I say. Remain at the top, I'm the top of the game. Step back, I come up quick fast. So fast, when I stop, y'all get whiplash. So what you wanna say today? Hate the game, dog, I'm the ace of spades. A call player, bet it's not over.
Frank Hayes and Big Mike are taking over the podcast scene in Vancouver. Get down or lay down.
We the best, just like Callie says, we the best. We stay hot to death, we the best, always down the rack. This Hayes Entertainment, what you know about that? We the best, just like Callie says, we the best. We stay hot to death, we the best, always down the rack. This Hayes Entertainment, what you know about that?
We the best, yes, that's something I can put plain. Hey, cause them ballers get paid. Pop bottles, honey, got dollars for days. Get low, sit low, in them politics trades. You want West Coast, just holla at Hayes.
We the best, just like Callie says, we the best. We stay hot to death, we the best, always down the rack. This Hayes Entertainment, what you know about that? We the best, just like Callie says, we the best. We stay hot to death, we the best, always down the rack. This Hayes Entertainment, what you know about that? About that, about that.
So, Lorenzo, I just want to thank you very much for taking the time for us today and coming on and chatting with us. We got a bunch of fans on here. Obviously, the main man is Ryan Hayes.
Yeah.
Look, I got the OJ on.
Yeah, I see that.
and my boy Stevie Johnson.
And then
Right.
we got Coke Daddy and we got Trevor of the Bills Mafia.
Oh, okay, that's what's up. Nice to meet you, fellas.
Hey, pleasure, man. All right, shoot, Mike.
Yeah, so go ahead. Grew up in Oakland. What was life like growing up?
Oakland was, interesting at the time I grew up, man. I mean, late 80s, born in 83. So late 80s, early 90s, kind of on the cusp of the end of the crack epidemic. And so there was a lot of violence and drugs and gangs in Oakland. But fortunately, I had a strong family foundation with my mom and my uncle really giving me structure, right? So making sure that, not only discipline, but had activities to do outside of school. And so making sure academics was important, playing sports, staying involved, and just staying out of the way and not necessarily getting caught up with some of the other kids were getting caught up in because they didn't have the same type of structure at home. But, I really was blessed, raised by my mom. My uncle really stepped in and was a huge influence and inspiration in my life. And I was always playing sports or in school and, had an opportunity to play AAU basketball when I was young. And so I got to travel a little bit, whether that was going down to Southern California, which is like a 6-hour ride where most kids never really left, the Oakland, San Francisco Bay Area. I got a chance to go to New Jersey, Detroit, like I said, Southern California. And so it was good. Everything went really well for me when I was young. And mainly that was because of the sacrifices that my mom and my uncle made on my behalf.
Okay, so they would have been your biggest influences in your career then as well.
Yeah, as far as my career, it probably been guys like London Fletcher, James Thrash, Kedrick Ghost, and those guys really made a huge impact on my professional career. And it's a ton of other guys. But my mom and my uncle really laid that foundation and always kept me humble. So when I got around guys and men like that, I was open to receive the information. I also think not getting drafted and taking myself down a notch as far as always being the guy, whether it was, Pop Warner, high school, college, also humbled me in a way where I was able to receive that information because I was trying to make it and strive in the NFL. And so between the experiences that I had and my uncle and my mom really opened me up to receive that mentorship that those men provided me once I got to the league.
So what were some more challenges you came across in getting to where you are today?
Oh, man. I mean, I kind of talked about, the main one, not main, I had several. So growing up, obviously low income, single parent, already talked about my uncle and how he filled that gap. But, financially, in order for me to go, because the public schools in most cities aren't very good. And so my parents never wanted me to go there. So I had to go to St. Mary's, which was a high school that my uncle went to, and we couldn't afford it. And luckily, my uncle was able to find somebody to invest in me, but I also had to invest in myself. And so not only did I have to earn a 3.5 GPA, I also had to work in the summers as a janitor at the school, and, from cleaning the toilets to doing maintenance on the football fields in order to pay for my education and put me in an environment that prepared me for college, and then also that expanded my the group of people that I was around. So I was around, people that were, more wealthy, white, Asian, brown, from low income to high income. And so I was really exposed to something different that I probably would have got going to Oakland Public School. And so in a lot of different ways, it really exposed me to be able to speak and go into different worlds, get to know different people outside of the neighborhood that I grew up in. And so that was one of the things that I had to do in order to overcome, some low income. Two, I had to overcome myself. Once I went to college, just getting that more freedom, right? So you go to college, parents ain't around, my uncle ain't around. And even though I had a compass as far as who I was and what I wanted to do, but I was partying, kicking it, drinking, doing things that really didn't add up to the goals that I wanted to see in the long run, as far as being a good father, being a good husband, making it to the NFL. And so I had these visions and these goals for myself, but because I was young and immature, like a lot of young men, I thought, hey, man, this is what I want to pursue. This is what's fun. This is what society is telling me that an athlete should be doing. And I indulged in those things. And because of that, really led to me not being drafted. And so I had to overcome myself. I had to mature. I had to grow. And I think because of that, like I mentioned earlier, I was trying to find it wherever I could and was really trying to identify people that were successful. And so when I got to Carolina, to Buckner, Julius Peppers, Mike Rucker. I had a ton of guys that I could look at that had a significant amount of time in the NFL that I was able to lean on. And then when I got to Washington, guys like James Thrash, London Fletcher, Kendrick Golston, Antoine Randall really helped me develop as a man as far as character, introduced Christ to me for the first time, as far as having a personal relationship with him. And that's how I was able to overcome myself, really by submitting myself to other guys that I saw that were doing great things. And then most importantly, submit my life to Christ, that allowed me to then strive to be more like him every day. And the byproduct of that is some of the things obviously you see me doing in the community, what I do with my family, my wife, my kids, and what I want to continue to do. Obviously now that I've transitioned from football, it's still about leaving a legacy and impacting other people's lives. And then when I was in the NFL, real quick couple of ones, obviously being undrafted and trying to knock myself out of that box that GM scouts put you in because you're undrafted. You can't really play, or, and then I was bouncing around. Well, what is your position? And so just really carving a niche out for myself. And even though, people say a jack of all trades, master of none, for me, I really said a jack of all trades, master of some. And so I could do a lot of different things, from playing tackle, defensive end, outside, inside linebacker, offensive guard. I played fullback, some tight end back in the day. But I really mastered, especially early in my career, the art of special teams, and was a Pro Bowler in that under the tutelage of Danny Smith, Mike Sellers, Rock Cartwright, and some other guys that I really learned from, Kerry Campbell being another. And so I had to carve a niche out for myself and then show them that I could also ball out and be impactful on defense. And so that took time. And obviously, again, it's about the relationships and coaches and people I had around me helping me evolve. And then last lastly, I would say my injury. I sustained a significant injury in 2013. I just signed a huge free agent contract deal to the Arizona Cardinals to be the starting outside linebacker. First game of the season, I tear my bicep. I end up playing through that. And then the third week of the season, I tore my Liz Frank that shut me completely down. And I think if I wasn't the leader and the character guy and had developed that, I would have been out of the league after that, because in 2014, I was a shell of myself. I couldn't play. I was out there, but I really wasn't out there. I was able to get by based on the mental aspect of the game and just beating guys to the spot because I knew angles and schemes. But I think my character and what I brought to a locker room allowed me to get through that season of my career as far as a health and production standpoint, to then see the other side, where I went to Oakland in 2015 after Arizona cut me, played predominantly special teams, but did really well there. They decided they didn't want to bring me back, but gave me an opportunity at the end of the year when I was an outside linebacker opposite of Khalil Mack. And after the game, the head coach came up to me and was like, "We should have played you more this year." I was like, "I know, you should have. I told you that." But they ended up didn't play me. They didn't want me back. And so then I ended up in Buffalo in 2016 and really had a resurgence in my career. Obviously, you never want to see a guy like Ike go down or them release Manny Lawson. But because of those two situations allowed me to be the starter, also play special teams, and then really just kind of light the league on fire with 12 and a half sacks that year. But none of that would have happened if I hadn't allowed those other guys to speak life into my life as far as who I wanted to be as a man, and leadership, and then going out there and implementing and being consistent every single day to get to that 2016 season, because my foot was jacked up, and most guys don't make it to the other side of that. And now I'm then I had 3 years after that 2016 season playing at a fairly high level, and that 37 was surprising and shocking a lot of people what I was able to do. And a lot of that's just, glory to God. And again, having great people up at the Bills organization that knew how to help me take care of my body.
I had you in my fantasy team.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I definitely.
I helped you win a couple of leagues.
Yeah, you did. That's for sure. Trev, you want to shoot that question you ran by us?
Yeah, man. Going undrafted by Carolina, you're sitting there. Did Carolina call right away, or were you sitting there as an undrafted player? And did the CFL ever come into your, being up here in Canada? Did you ever think of the CFL?
No, that was never an option. Well, it never presented itself to be an option. I think if things would have prolonged itself, that would have been. If that was the next best thing, I would have probably got to there. But fortunately, I didn't have to go, up to Canada and play. And I was.
You would have been before Cameron Wake.
Yeah, I would have been. I'm a little bit older than Cam is, and so it was good in that sense. But the way it works, obviously, I sat through the entire draft, and back then it was only 2 days, and so that was the most drooling thing. And I actually had a couple of teams call me and tell me, "Hey, with the next pick, we're probably gonna take you," and obviously that didn't happen. But right after the draft is over, they designate guys. You're still a free agent, but they call high priority free agents, where those are normally guys that probably could have got drafted in the late 5th, 6th, 7th round, depending on how things fell. But obviously, for whatever reason, they didn't. And so I had 3 or 4 teams call me, and crazy as it is, Buffalo was actually one of those teams way back in 2005. I ended up choosing to go to Carolina because they played a 4-3, and I saw myself more as a 3 technique in a 4-3 versus Buffalo was playing a 3-4 at the time.
Wasn't Fletch here in 05?
Fletch was.
He would have been here in 05, I think.
He was there. Yeah, he was there in 05, because I got with him in 07. Yeah, so Fletch was there, but obviously I didn't know him at the time.
Oh, okay.
And so the scheme was much different then, and so Carolina was a better fit. So they called me right after the draft, and I had 3 or 4 options. Chargers might have been one of the other teams to kind of pick from, and you kind of look at the rosters and try to decide where you want to go. And I ended up choosing Carolina, and was there for a year and a half. And I never looked back and said, "Oh, well, I probably could have went to Buffalo and been there before Kyle Williams and been Kyle Williams." You just never know. And plus, all the relationships that I met along the way, my journey, led me to Buffalo and led me to have that type of ending to my career. And it probably wouldn't have worked out the same, but who knows? But I never look back and say I wish I would have made a different decision.
completely different situation too, though. Have you spoken to Fletch about how different the organization was under the Ralph Wilson regime? I mean, you only were with the Pagulas, right? So
I had Pagulas the whole. I think they just bought the team maybe the year before I got there. And we've had discussions about it. And he's been up there, I think, a couple of times, and he can even see it for himself. When we drafted Tremaine Edmonds, he came back, I think, just to kind of pay it forward a little bit. Obviously, there's a lot of weight on Tremaine's shoulders. And so he's gotten to see it firsthand as far as the money that's been invested into the facility, just a different culture, obviously, with Sean McDermott and what he's implemented, and just all the resources that we have currently, unlike the prior regime. And, just a different day and age. It's almost like the new NFL, where that ownership group was more the older families, and they did things much differently than how some of the new ownership is doing. And so I think there is a transition going on currently right now, especially when you see some of the older owners maybe selling their teams, or maybe their kids are taking over. And it's just a good thing, because there's a new and better way how to run an organization. And not that their way wasn't good. It was just, I think it's better and evolving with the times and how things have changed.
Hey,
I'm a Bengals fan, so I don't have much to cheer for. But obviously, you must be super proud of how the Bills are doing this year. I mean, I got Josh Allen in my fantasy, and he's having a great season. And your guys' team looks real good, and a big-time Super Bowl contender for sure.
Yeah, they do an excellent job. What are they sitting at, 9-3 right now? Doing really well. They was able to do that predominantly with the defense not playing at the standard that everybody expects them to do. But you can start seeing it coming alive as guys are getting healthy. Obviously, Tremaine Edmonds, I think, is probably the headline of that. Early in the season, he just wasn't playing well because he was hurt. And it took him some time to kind of fight through some of that, get through some of that adversity, get his confidence back. And now, as he's gotten better, the defense is starting to play better. The defensive line is getting off the rock, shutting the line of scrimmage. Jerry Hughes has done an excellent job of finding his voice in the way he ought to lead, and not doing it my way or Kyle's way, but finding his way. And I think that's also helped at the back end of this season. And so it's fun to watch. Guys are getting healthy at the right time. Matt Milano's coming back. AJ Klein has really stepped his game up. And then when you see the guys on the back end finally getting healthy, when you think about Levi finally getting healthy and having that full defensive backfield, is really going to help. And, obviously Micah and Jordan and Trey have really done a great job. They're starting to get some turnovers too. They peaking at the right time. And Josh and that offense has been rolling pretty much the whole year. They've had their hiccups here and there, but overall they've been rolling. And I'm really liking where I'm seeing Josh at, especially mentally. That's the biggest part of his game, is being able to stay within himself for a complete game. And I thought he did that, at a high level, especially with the 49ers game. And so you're seeing that progression with him. If he can continue to that and just sustain where they're at, it's going to be great. And they didn't even have John Brown. They didn't even have Smoke out there and was able to do what they did. So you insert him back into it after he gets healthy. They're going to be really scary going into the playoffs. And hopefully they'll be able to find that first win. The only team that kind of scares me getting the first, is maybe because the way Cleveland's playing, running the ball really well. So that's going to be an interesting matchup. Not that it scares me, but it's going to be like, okay, this is going to be a real game.
Yep.
Hey, I got a question, a little lighter noted. What's your favorite movie?
Man, my favorite movie, if I had to go like maybe not, I wouldn't say all time, but the first one that just popped in my mind was Lucky Number 11, a little old school movie, which I really loved. Great storyline, threw me all off, and just really love the ending of that.
Okay.
Copes, you got one?
Yeah, so you had obviously played Division I college football. You got to play, I believe, just 1 year with Marshawn in college, or was it 2?
Yeah, I got 1 year with Money. Great year. Obviously, he had 1,000 yards that year, and we had another great back, J.J. Arrington, and he's phenomenal. But go ahead.
Do you have any stories of, from Marshawn? I mean, he was a crazy guy. I mean, into his 30s, you got anything for 18-year-old Marshawn that you could share with us?
Marshawn was quiet then. He was just trying to, figure out who he was and his voice, and he's changed, so much, obviously, just by maturing and growing. But first of all, it's 15 years ago, 16 years ago, so I really don't remember. But he wasn't the same persona as he is now as far as his first year. And I think a lot of that was just trying to figure out who he was. And then I didn't really hang out with him per se as much because I was a senior, he was a freshman, and so we were kind of doing different things. But I just remember how dominant he was. And then I think that was the same year as Adrian Peterson was a rookie too, or a freshman. And Adrian Peterson might have won freshman of the year, but I was so high on Marshawn, obviously being an Oakland guy and seeing him every day in practice and what he did as a freshman. I always preferred Marshawn over Adrian, and obviously, I'm biased. But I just remember some of the runs he made as a freshman, this craziness, especially Washington game and Stanford game. I mean, one game he was cutting left and almost went down to a splits, got back up, cut back across the field, and housed it for like 60 yards. And then he was great out of the backfield, could catch, which Adrian Peterson couldn't really do. And so I just loved his dual threat. And that's kind of what I really remember about him, more so than maybe some of the off-the-field fun times.
Okay. I'll let you guys go. I'll throw one in, and then you guys go run through it again. If you could sit down for dinner with anybody, dead or alive, who would it be?
Jesus Christ.
Okay.
Okay. Back to the Lynch one. He just actually tweeted out saying that if a team wants to pick him up for the playoff run, he's in.
Yeah, I saw that. I mean, Money is he's a phenom. He's beast mode for a reason, right? He's one of the few guys that can retire, come back, retire, and come back. And miss a significant amount of time, especially at that position, and still come out and give you some. But I know he's been working out and training from the people that I've talked to, and so he's definitely ready. I don't know if he was like that in years prior. I think it kind of got sprung on him, but I think he's been working out intentionally just in case somebody decides they can need him this year, especially when you think about COVID, right? Something can happen or a guy goes down. You have a lot of guys getting injured.
He should go to Miami, or you should go to Miami. They just got hit with the COVID running backs.
Yeah, we don't want him down there. Nobody wants to tackle him.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, go somewhere else.
Yeah. I was actually at his game in Seattle when he returned last year after not playing all season. Came back and opened up his little skills store in Seattle.
Yeah.
Shoot, Trev.
Did you ever play a high school game against him?
No. He was in the OAL, and we played in a different league, so we never got to play each other in high school, even though I did play some OAL teams. But yeah, I mean, I was a senior, he'd have been a freshman, and he was dominant too, but we never played each other.
You know a guy from Oakland that was a football player, Dante Marsh?
That's my guy. I know he played up in Cleveland. In Canadian football forever.
Okay.
Me and Tay used to train together coming out. He went to Fresno State, and we have the same trainer coming. I mean, me and Tay are tight, so I know Tay very well.
Okay.
He's good buddies of the show. He's been on here like 3 times with us. He's a great guy.
Yeah. He good people doing great work out there, in Cali right now, training cats and especially these high school guys and just getting them ready and educating them and putting them up on game. And so I got nothing but respect for Tay. He was actually one of the guys that motivated me to even take my training and my body to another level, because you can see him and the way he looks now. Only imagine, what he was like when he was 20 and, in his heyday.
Kind of scary.
Yeah, very scary. He's very regimented and focused.
Because, we're out here in Vancouver, right? So he played right here in Vancouver, and I got to know him over the years, and great guy.
Yep.
2-time Pro Bowler. What was it like playing in the Pro Bowl and then being recognized as the defensive MVP in 2016?
Yeah, it was dope, man. Both of them was good. The first one I went as a special teams player, but I got a chance to play defense, and I just really enjoyed it. Had a great time. I'm 2-0 in Pro Bowls. I mean, if that goes for anything. So I've always enjoyed it and always played well. I think 16 is extra special. I think we made it and it's crazy how it went. People were complaining about the Pro Bowl and trying to cancel it. And so before the 2016 game, it might have been Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning? Yeah, Peyton Manning. He got up in front of everybody and said, "Hey, guys, we're thinking about canceling it, and we got to make sure we go out here and show out and play well and play good." And so that was I think after that year, it's kind of when it went back to being very vanilla, because there was guys out there hitting. If you remember, Jimmy Graham got upset with me. Thomas Davis was out there hitting cats. We had Ryan Shazier was hitting guys. DJ Alexander, like all the linebackers, took what Peyton Manning said to heart. And the first time somebody cracked somebody, it was on for the rest of the game. And so it was cool. And then obviously after I hit Jimmy, my man Kirk Cousins, threw me one because Jimmy got alligator arms because I had cracked him to play before and he didn't want to go up and get it. And so I was able to fingertip the interception, pitch the ball, and it was just a great play, great feeling. And then to win a winner G90, which I still have, is really cool.
So what do you got going on now, Lorenzo, since you retired? You had previously mentioned some work in the community. What do you got going on? What do you got kind of in the works?
Yeah, I'm doing a lot of stuff, especially with the foundation. Obviously, COVID has kind of put a wrench in some of it, but still serving, doing Christmas, and we did some Thanksgiving stuff, some with the Bell Center in Buffalo, some stuff in Oakland. We are planning right now to do a entrepreneurship and policy, public policy virtual course where we're going to take kids from Oakland, Arizona, and hopefully I'll be able to get a group from Buffalo as well and teach them how to create and develop a business, and then how they can then leverage that business or small business in the impact, the influence you have of being a small business, how you can galvanize the community and change public policy for the betterment of the community. And so we're going to take some individuals through that, and then they actually during the course are going to have to come up with their own business idea, create it, present it to us, as well as some of the public policy changes that they would use by leveraging their business in the community. And then we're going to make it a paid internship, so they get some value out of it as well. Maybe they can use that as some startup costs to do something small, or maybe take a certification program. So trying to reinvest in them. And then outside of that, just been doing a lot of media work, working with the Washington football team, doing stuff with the Bills, doing stuff out here in Arizona since I play for all three organizations. And then lastly, been coaching my kids, doing some flag football with them, which has been really fun. And probably going to take even a deeper dive with the NFL and some of their flag football initiatives.
So to hop into with that, obviously it's going around trending what happened with that Florida youth football coach.
Yeah, that dude crazy.
What could, I don't know what to say, but for someone to do that, what can you see as an influence within football is that so much go, is especially youth football is tied into it. What it can tie into youth football, maybe helping protect the kids moving forward to not have to deal with coaches with this type of mentality.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing is that you have a lot of people that are living vicariously through the kids, even whether it's their own kids or other kids, and how they think things should be done. And obviously, in my opinion, he probably saw himself in that kid, and that's why he hit him, right? He was there some or was lazy or whatever. I don't know what the situation was. But obviously, we need better education. We need better development of our coaches. And I know in Buffalo, we plan on doing some of those things with the PAL League because your sole purpose shouldn't be going out there and trying to win a championship when you got a bunch of 8, 9, and 10-year-olds, right? Yeah, if that's a byproduct of the culture that you set through developing great fundamentals and skills and knowledge of the game by practicing, then great, but that shouldn't be your sole purpose. You shouldn't be so caught up in trying to be the Hall of Fame multi-state championship of the Florida 9 and 10-year-old division. That's not what it's about at that age. It's about developing young men and women and helping them develop character foremost, and then develop their athletic ability in the context of football. And I think a lot of coaches aren't out there for that purpose. They're out there for their own self-glorification, and that's the issue. And leagues and parents have to be accountable. And I'm pretty sure this wasn't the guy's first offense either. So leagues and parents have to hold coaches accountable for their actions and what they're doing and what they're showcasing. And I say all that to say that you can still be tough on kids and challenge them without putting your hands on them, without cussing them out, because you can ask any of the kids I coach. I have expectations and standards for them, but I also know that it's a process and it takes time in order for them to achieve where I want them to be. And so that just comes through from putting time in, being consistent with them, and starting from the basics over and over and over. And, if guys ain't listening to me, hey, we're going to do some push-ups right now. If you ain't doing it, you messing around, not paying attention, hey, you may have to take some laps. but I'm never going to put my hands on a child, whether it's my child or not, to prove a point or to show some discipline, because that's not doing anything that is productive.
Taking me back to your first sack against the Seahawks, Matt Hasselbeck.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually know Matt. I got to know him in the NFLPA and through a PAO as well, which is Professional Athlete Outreach, a Christian organization where guys come together to talk about faith and marriage and parenting. So that's real. I actually got that picture up somewhere in my office with old Matt Hasselbeck, and it was cool to get to do him after I had these. I was like, yeah, actually my first sack was against you. He's like, really? I was like, yeah, man. So it was cool.
What's your favorite piece of memorabilia? You got a nice wall.
My favorite piece has to be the People's Champ. Now, this is what I call it, the People's Champ belt behind me. I guess.
Yeah.
And that's, every year the Bills do like a Irons games, and so it's a way for the strength coaches to make it fun and interactive, and to get guys to compete way harder. Anytime you put something on something, guys are gonna run a little harder, lift a little harder. And so that is the individual award. My first year, I think we won the team award, but I would miss a couple of days here and there. But last year, I made sure I wanted to win it, so I showed up every single day, didn't miss no weeks, no family time, as far as missing a day or two. And then I made sure I won enough events so I could get the individual championship award. At 37, when we got all those 20-somethings in there. So that's probably my favorite award up there, just because. I got to just outperform, all these young boys, just showing what I got.
Trevor Copes
should have been comeback player of the year in 2016, in my opinion.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I guess because I technically didn't come off an injury, they couldn't give it to me. But yeah, and I was probably too old to give me like breakout player of the year.
What was your favorite stadium to play in? I mean, not only did you get to play home in different stadiums, but what was your favorite one to be like, shoot, I'd love to go back there and play another game?
So outside of Buffalo, I really enjoyed Kansas City. Kansas City was nice. They got and I enjoy fan bases. The booing, they're loud, but then they also get it. They understand that this is not, I don't need to cuss you out or talk bad about your family. Your family can go to the game.
They're not rated.
They'll have fun banner, right? But they also loud and knowledgeable of the game and got stuff going on. Unlike maybe like a Philly, where I've had teammates' parents getting fights with fans, in the stadium because they was cheering for their son, So that I would say, yeah, Kansas City. Kansas City had a great fan base. I really enjoyed playing.
Now, what about Oakland?
Oakland too. That's another one. But you might. Oakland is different. They're not going to fight you, but if you're one of those fans that want to talk trash, you might get something that you didn't expect from Oakland.
I know when I go to when I go to the Seahawks games and the whole Oakland crew comes all the way up the West Coast and they all come to Seattle games. They have their own bars. They have like a whole crowd. It's like tons of them, and it's often maybe 30% of the crowd.
Yeah, and I guess I take Oakland for granted because I grew up there and I used to go to a lot of the games and then I played there, so I wasn't even thinking like that. But yeah, Oakland, obviously the black hole and there, they used to get a ton of fans coming up from LA every week. They do a great job as far as the party scene outside the stadium. It's always fun when we used to play there too.
So 407. Oh,
go ahead, Mike.
470 tackles, 33 sacks, 12 forced fumbles, 4 fumble recoveries, and 3 interceptions. What helped you have such a successful career?
Great coaching. Great players around me, learning from them. I've already rattled off some of the names, but, you think about playing with Kyle Williams, Chris Samuels, Larry Fitzgerald, Patrick Peterson. And I can go on and on as far as the guys that I've had a chance to sit around and talk ball with and learn from and watch them play, and then having some really good coaches to help me. And then I, also with baked into that, probably being, outside of 2013, I never missed a game out, as far as due to injury. Even when I was nicked up or had a hammy, I played through things. So being able to be out there on the field, consistently helping my team play. And then I, just playing balls to the wall. I'm not uber talented when you think athletically, when you think about the NFL talent pool, but because I played uber hard and really understood the game, I was able to go out there and make a ton of plays and do it consistently and continue to get better throughout my career.
What would we find on your playlist?
I listen to a lot of Lecrae, Andy Mineo, and these guys are all like Christian rappers, and so they and I love rap music, but I don't like the glorification of the hood mentality. And so these guys actually will talk about that. Some of these guys used to, grew up in the hood, used to deal, but they tell you the truth of it. They don't talk about how it made them all this money. It may tell you how some of their homeboys died or how they ended up in jail or some of their guys ended up in jail, and tries to give you a more realistic approach of what that life leads to. But even more so once you give your life to Christ, the type of standard, what does it mean to be a great father? It talks about all types of stuff, abortion in there, all types of these social issues that we deal with, but from a more of a positive standpoint and giving a real spin of what it looks like to be a man in today or a Christian in today's world. But it's some good music and some bangers in there too. So
okay.
I would say definitely check them out.
All right.
Definitely.
So Josh Allen came highly touted out of Wyoming into Buffalo. There's people talk about the aura that especially quarterbacks have when they walk into the room as rookies or whatever it may be to lead a team. Did you get that sense from Josh that he was going to be as special as people have talked about?
I don't know if I knew he was going to be this good this quickly. I mean, I knew that he had the skill set, the arm talent, the ability. I think the biggest thing is just his ability to connect with folks. People just naturally gravitate towards him. He has a great personality. And then you just see his work ethic and how he grew and really developed every single day. And he's a competitor at the end of the day. And so that was kind of the first things I noticed. I think after last season, though, I knew that he would take another step. I don't know if I thought it would be this big, but I didn't know they was going to get Diggs and add him into the mix, which I think has really helped him. And so, yeah, I mean, it's really cool.
Oh, he's having a massive year.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's great to see him go out there and ball out. And now people are, talking about is he in the Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, all those guys. Is he in that same conversation with those guys?
Well, you look at that draft class that he came out with. It was him, Sam Darnold, Baker, Lamar.
Yeah, well, those guys are not. He's better than those guys. And I'll even say he's better than Lamar Jackson just because Lamar's won an MVP. He's a more explosive player as far as when it comes in the run game, and you have to figure that stuff out. But we talking about quarterback and dual threat and being able to do it, he's better than all those guys.
Absolutely.
And
he's got more tools in the toolbox.
Yeah, so Lamar's a better runner, but Lamar is nowhere near of a close as far as passer as he is. And so for me, that talks about longevity and be able to dominate a game a lot longer because we look at some guys like Cam Newton, you look at Michael Vick, guys like that end up getting hurt over a period of time because they're almost a glorified running back in some ways. Even though Lamar's developed a little bit in the passing game, I just don't think he's quite developed quite yet. Maybe he does it next year when he has a real season, but Josh was able to take a huge leap. As we've all seen, now it's all about can he maintain that. I mean, I think saw my boy Ross Tucker tweet out today, like he's increased like 10% in accuracy with his deep ball and just overall, even overall. I mean, the deep ball might even be more than that. I think the 2 years that I was with him, he was like around 25%. This year, he's like up around 70s, high 60s.
Yeah.
And that type of growth, I mean, it's just unheard of. And it's not like guys are dropping balls. He was overthrowing a lot of guys, and this year he just has that great consistency. So I think he's taken a step forward where some of those guys have kind of stayed stagnant. And so that's why people are even starting, mention with some of those other elite quarterbacks in the league right now, which is, I think he's ahead of schedule in those regards.
Trev, shoot one.
3 years ago, yesterday was the Snow Bowl against the Colts, and you were mic'd up for that game. Cali boy, what was that like?
It was ridiculous. I mean, I think you got the essence of my experience in that thing. I mean, you couldn't see, 2 feet in front of you. And then you had to try to go tackle Frank Gore in the midst of that while we're out here kind of just trying to tippy-toe and not fall over in the snow. And so between him and Shady, I mean, it was a crazy game because nobody could tackle those guys. And to be able to pull it out with the win, though, was huge for us because it kept our playoffs hopes alive.
Do you play fantasy sports?
What?
Do you play fantasy sports?
No, my kids played this year. I don't have a fantasy mind. I don't think like that. I think too much like traditional football. And so my daughter asks me all the time. I'm like, no. I mean, I pick a guy and then I'm way off. So I just don't. And then I'll forget, who's hurt. I don't have enough bandwidth to keep up with all the other stuff I do and try to keep up with a fantasy league.
Hey, Biggie or Tupac?
I got one last one.
Mark.
Yeah, of course, Oakland.
With the you being in the locker room when the streak was broken, what was that like?
It was mayhem. I mean, it was great. I mean, great feeling. Obviously, a lot of guys hadn't been in the playoffs. Kyle Williams mainly had never been there, and so to be able to do that with him was really cool. You know, he had his kids in there. Everybody was just so happy and over the moon because the odds of being able to do that and achieve that. I mean, especially at that point with a 4th and 13 or 15, whatever it was, and Andy Dalton to pull out that play to help us go. I mean, it was just crazy. Because the play before that, I think he got sacked or something like that. And so it was just guys were so happy that we were able to achieve that. And so now I'm looking for him to now take it to the next level and win a playoff game.
Do you think that what happened after that and all the donations to Andy Dalton's fund, could you see that happening in any other market, or is that just Buffalo?
Yeah, that's unique to Buffalo. I mean, it hasn't happened in any other market, to my knowledge. And and that's not the first time something like that has occurred. For Buffalo to do it on that large scale, which we then saw reproduced again with Josh Allen this year. And again, those are not the only 2 times that's occurred where Buffalo and Bills Mafia gets together and does something that makes a significant impact in a lot of people's lives. So that's more of the culture and identity of who Buffalo is.
There was just a UFC guy that we had on 2 nights ago, Mike. We were talking about how we want to have to see a UFC fight inside, like a sanctioned fight inside the middle of the tailgate at Bills Mafia.
That would be
sweet.
Billy. It was Billy.
That's something y'all probably can get done.
Great idea.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
The guy is fighting tonight. Billy
Quarantilo.
Billy Quarantino is fighting in the UFC tonight. He's a Bills Mafia guy.
Okay, dope. Nice.
So Lorenzo, the one-man gang, where did that nickname start and when did it start?
So, like I told you earlier in my career, I had to develop a niche for myself. So I had, I was on practice squad and I was doing a whole bunch of different things, and I never left the field. So I played offense, a line, defensive line, all the special teams. I took every single rep you could possibly take in practice. And so that's where the coaches got the idea that I could probably do multiple things. And so the training camp in 2007 or OTAs, I actually was in OTAs as an offensive lineman. The day I reported to camp, they put me back on the defensive line. After the first week of that first game, they put me back in the offensive line room. And so I was like going back and forth and all over the place, just, because they saw what I was able to do with the look squad. And then during that season, I ended up playing 5 positions in one game versus the New York Giants, I believe. And then my boy Fred Smoot, who's a jokester and always coming up with something, him and Sean Springs came up with like, man, so you can play a whole game by yourself, man. We're gonna call you the one-man gang. And so that's where it was birthed from, Fred Smoot and Sean Springs getting together and coming up with a cool nickname. So it's not something I didn't give myself, it was given to me.
Do you have any pre-game
Okay, and obviously...
Do I what?
Have any pre-game rituals? Sorry, Mike, I cut you off.
No, I mean, I have a routine that I'm really superstitious, I guess, about as far as just regimenting and how I do things, what I eat, what I'm listening to, the way I drive to the game, how I stretch, times I go out and come back in. That routine is, I guess, is like my ritual because it never really changed. I might have tweaked it year to year a little bit. But especially the last probably 8 or 9 years, it was the same process every single game, especially for home games.
How thrown off were you last year, your last home game with your daughter singing the national anthem?
I had no clue that was going to happen. So it was really cool experience, obviously, to see her perform so well and do well in front of all those people, knowing what type of moment it was for her dad. And so it was a special time. I was really happy for her and that she was able to go out there and perform at a high level. When you see professionals sometimes like, ooh, that didn't sound that great, or they forget the words, and she was able to knock it down. But she was actually looking at Deion Dawkins and Josh Allen, who she's really close to, singing to them, looking at them. So it kind of took everybody else away doing that song while she was performing it.
Mike.
Okay. Yeah. How does it feel to have a legend coach like Mike Shanahan say that you're one of the best special teams players out there? And I know he's always talked so highly of you. What was it like getting coached by him?
The best ever that he had, but now I'm playing. Mike was great. I enjoyed Mike when I was with them. They signed me. They gave me the opportunity to play special teams and then also develop a role on defense. And so when you have somebody that's been around the game as long as he has and has played on championship caliber teams, and he actually had Keith Burns play for him, who was another dominant special teams player for a lot of years in Denver. And for him to mention me, kind of with that experience is obviously gratifying in a lot of ways. And I think the year after I left, he even mentioned me in like a press conference, like Lorenzo Alexander ain't walking through that door, and coaches normally don't do that, especially with guys that aren't on their roster or so. Obviously, he had a lot of respect for me. I had a lot of respect for him and really appreciate that he recognized the type of player I was for him.
Realistically, how cold is Buffalo being from the West Coast?
It's unbearable, and that's why I don't live there. And if the weather was moderately okay, I could see myself staying in Buffalo for the remainder, but I just couldn't do it with, the aches and pains and bumps and bruises that I have. The cold weather just makes it that much worse, and you don't feel like getting up on days. And so that's why we came out here to Phoenix, because it's obviously a much better climate year round.
Oh, so you stay in Phoenix now?
Yeah.
Not everyone's Kyle Williams. Right?
Yeah, well, Kyle is not there either. He's in Louisiana.
Okay.
Who's one quarterback that you always wanted to sack that never happened?
I think I got everybody. I got Tom. I got Aaron.
What about my Russell?
I sacked Russell. Got Russell.
Yeah.
Monday night.
Monday night. Yep. The only guy I don't think I got Drew, but I got,
I was there. That was an awesome.
Yeah, I never got Drew, but I don't think I ever really wanted to sack Drew. He wasn't like high on my list.
Did you get the Manning brothers?
Yeah, I got Eli. Did I get Peyton? See, some guys I just didn't play enough. I played against Peyton maybe like once because he was an AFC guy.
Okay.
When I was with Washington. I don't think I got him. I've hit him, but I didn't sack him. Peyton get rid of the ball so quick. So I had a nice spin move on one of the guys and got a hit on him, but he tossed it away.
If you were an animal, what would you be?
A bear. Go Bears, Cow Bears all day.
Okay.
Hey Lorenzo, if there is $1,000 on the line for a karaoke contest and you had to sing one song and that was it, what would it be?
Alexander Hamilton. yeah. It's a little Hamilton joint. My wife, we played that stuff out after we listened to that and saw that musical and stuff. So I actually performed it Halloween night. We had a Halloween party at the house and got a little fun, and we did karaoke, and that was the song I did.
Oh,
okay.
We asked a professional, and we've been throwing this question out for the last few days, and you're the first one that didn't actually has been doing karaoke for fun.
Yeah, yeah. But that's the song I would rock.
Hopes.
Yeah. So obviously played a long time in the league. Played against some incredible offensive linemen. Who was the one offensive lineman where you'd wake up that Sunday morning or go to that game Monday night and know, like, wow, this is going to be one heck of a long night?
Who was some guys? And of course, names are not going to come to me right now, but
all right, one team where you knew
Trent Williams.
Okay.
really good. Peters, Philly, really good. Played against him a whole lot. You guys can help me. Cleveland, he retired a couple of years ago.
Joe Thomas,
another guy that was really good. As you knew, you had to bring your lunch pail against. Those are the three guys that came to my mind first. So
how about Andrew Whitworth, my boy in the Bengals?
I didn't play against Whitworth a lot. I played against him when he was older too. When I played him, I didn't have the same type of, I don't want to say fear. I mean, because he was a good player. I knew I had to bring my lunch, and he blocked me. I don't think I got a sack when I played against him, but it wasn't the same. Like, ooh. But I knew I had to work to get something against him, which I didn't. I had a great move, and once again, the quarterback's throwing the ball away.
What is your personal highlight?
My personal highlight. I got a couple of real big time hits on special teams. I have two. One year I hit this dude from Philly twice hard. If you look it up, you'll see it. I think his last name was like Joe Quez. He might have only played 1 year, but I popped him hard twice in 1 year. I got
ruined his career.
Robert Jordan really good on the kickoff. This was like in my 79 days when I was more of an O-lineman running down. Caught him, but I would say the highlight had to be what year was that? Was that last year? 2 years ago, we played Houston in Houston. When I tipped the ball to myself and picked it off.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
That doesn't happen every day, so that's.
I got those fantasy points, so I'm fucking happy about that.
Yeah. Probably my best game was the Rams. My first year, 2016, when I had the 3 sacks. I should have had a fourth one, but then again, my man threw the ball away, and my man who got it? Nikel Roby got a pick to end the game.
Okay.
I got one more. If we got second here, Kobe, LeBron, or Jordan?
I'm a Jordan guy. That's just my era. Growing up, the mystique of Jordan and watching him dominate back in the 90s, it's just hard. I mean, obviously LeBron and Kobe are dominant too, but nobody will ever be better than Jordan in my mind.
Perfect. You have a favorite color? Gatorade?
I like the what is it? Glacier?
The blue.
No, not the blue.
No,
the white.
Oh.
I like, and the white is really good, but I like the grape one. So it might not be Glacier, but the Glacier like strawberry is really good too. But those are good. Those are good.
Hey, Lorenzo, I just want to thank you very much for taking the time for us today. We're all big fans of yours, and we've been big fans of yours for your whole career. I mean, it meant a lot to us, and we wish you best of luck for the rest of your life.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, that was awesome, man.
That was really good.
That was fun.
All right, Kev, we'll talk to everybody soon.
Take care, buddy.
Okay, you too. Be safe. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, you too, right? Take care.
Okay.